All right. Welcome to Marketing Smarketing, a podcast where we talk about marketing and strategies that help you grow your business. I'm Nate Wan with Product Marketing Leader.
I'm Sal Bunicor, also with Product Marketing Leader.
Awesome. Welcome. And made a considerate effort not to interrupt you that time in your introduction. Still
All
getting
good.
it.
I feel like I need to come up with something else because yes, I am also from Product Marketing Leader, but like this, I need a cooler tagline than that.
Yeah. I kind of feel like you're part of Technology Leader Co. Like you're an
I'm a
overarching.
little bit of everything as I
Yeah.
wear one of our other branches shirts, but we'll just cover. I'll slouch a little bit more and cover that.
There you go. We'll edit it in post. Give something for Tim to learn how to do.
Absolutely.
So we're just going to dive straight in because we have a good amount to talk about, and we want to get through it. So I don't have any news today. Seems like it was good enough to kind of go through here and finish out our sales process part 2, which is the title of our podcast episode. So just to kind of recap before we dive into it, with the whole plan that we've been talking about, the marketing go-to-market strategy. So we started with data-driven decisions. We talked about getting tools and ways to get data, numbers that are quantifying results of what you're doing, and making sure that you are making decisions based off of those results. Next, we talked about building an audience using tools like LinkedIn, using social media, internet, website, how to build that audience. Then we moved into, once you have that audience, how to engage with that audience. And most of that was with LinkedIn, but there's obviously plenty of ways through email and stuff like that to engage with that audience. But very important in that step. And as you're engaging with that audience, we then talked about how you define your ideal customer. This is something that you probably should do before you start engaging with that audience or building that audience. But it's an important step because it tells you who you want to aim for and kind of narrows down that search. So you're not just casting a wide net to every single person, and you're being a little more efficient in your process. Then we talked about crafting content and tips and tricks on how to craft a good blog and how to get quality content out there. And then last episode, 2 weeks ago, we started talking about the sales process, and that was our part 1 for sales process. And to kind of break that down, we talked about transitioning your MQLs, your marketing qualified leads, into sales qualified leads. We talked about how important a discovery meeting is, so discovery 1, and then also how after discovery 1 you should have a preliminary budget meeting, just to kind of map out what the budget might look like, send a draft over, discuss it in a meeting, and kind of build that confidence and build that relationship with the customer as you do that. So today is sales process part 2. And the first thing we're going to dive into is, now that we've kind of done a discovery 1, which is again your introduction and your budget authority need and timeline. Once you found out all that information, what you need to know about their company, who they are as people, so that you can kind of relate to them, whether or not this is the right product for them with the BANT information. And once you've also kind of mapped out what it's going to look like from a first draft budget stance, then you move into a second discovery. And for the most part, this is just a little bit more of a deep dive. So that first part, and the reason why it was in a part 1 series, was really just to initiate things. It's supposed to get you more information about the company, and it's supposed to really build that foundation for a relationship with your customer, because that's, at the end of the day, the most important part about this process, is to build that relationship. And so discovery 2 is, now that we've put past the getting to know them, getting to know what we need to know on a high level, and kind of getting past those items, this is where you want to dive deep. You really want to get to know their company. Specifically, we're talking about ERP software, the stuff that we work with, but this is true for all SaaS products and software companies. You really want to get to know the deep details of how people are going to use software and how it's going to apply to them, because these days we're surrounded by products and software that will fill our needs, right? So the internet is filled with options, and so what we're trying to do is narrow down those options to the one that we think is the best for our customer. So let's get into what a discovery 2 might look like. It's funny because we started as a pre-sales company. Like, pre-sales leader was the beginning of our company, and it really that was the kind of foundation that we started as a company. And it takes so long for a new employee, I mean, maybe I'm just talking about me, to figure out what we do. It took me a year to really understand it. And that came from not understanding anything about ERPs, not understanding anything about marketing or really companies or the way a company works. So there's a lot of underlying things. So I understood the basics of what we did, but really understanding what we do as pre-sales engineers or solutions engineers, it took a long time to do. So that's why I hesitate here.
Yeah. No, and that's good, because like the first discovery one that we talked about last week really is just like, hey, do they have a need for a product like ours, for a software like ours? That BANT process is still a pretty surface level of getting to know the person, but the stuff discovery 2 is when you pull in your solution engineer and really get someone in that has some more of that technical knowledge and experience, like as a marketing person expert. Like, that's kind of like, I don't know the coding behind it. I don't know how it integrates with other softwares. That's where your solution engineer, your SE is what we call them, are able to really help dive into some of those nitty gritty sides of things and really get into the weeds that us as marketers can't always get into. If you're the one man show, the solopreneur, that's I've heard some people call, like, you're probably able to do a little bit of all of it. But this discovery 2 process really is the next level. Discovery 1, that surface level that you're able to handle as the marketing person. But discovery 2 pulls in the sales team, your solution engineer, getting a little deeper, really drilling down to get pretty clear on understanding the specifics of what they're doing as a business, their processes, the issues that they're facing that you found out in the need part of that BANT process in discovery 1, diving into that more and some of those specific requirements. So, yeah, really starting to tailor and create a specific solution for that customer. So yeah, it's hard. If I didn't live in the pre-sales world a little bit, like, yeah, it's probably taken me a good year to fully understand what the words I just said.
Yeah.
Even.
Well, and to sum it up for everyone else, it's from The Office. It's we're people person. We're a people person. We deal with people, right?
Yeah.
And so, all right. So discovery 2. So again, deep dive. Again, like Sal said, we're involving a solutions engineer so that we can dive deep. And this is really, we want to involve a solutions engineer so that we can have a better understanding of every facet of each type of business, whether depending on what industry that's in. We want to have someone who understands what they're talking about, in addition to understanding the software that you're selling. And so in the world of ERP, we're talking about many different assets, different facets of the same software. You're talking about sales, you're talking about inventory, you're talking about all the portion, the financials, all the portions of your business. So there's a lot to get into, which is why we need this second whole meeting to kind of dive into how this company works. They've kind of moved past this. They've moved past this. Who are these people? Are they right for us? We've determined that we're right for them. Now we're determining specifically how we're right for them. So we're trying to find out those reasons. And remember, all of this is before the demonstration. You want to gather as much information as you can, because the failure here would be to not get the right information and demonstrate your product without knowing your customer, knowing what they need, knowing how they use what they currently use, knowing their pain points. And so this is just kind of, their pain points, you're digging down into why they're pain points so that you can then take those pain points and convert them into how you can solve them with your solution. And so after discovery 2, you can have more discoveries if they're needed. So if you have a discovery meeting and say you don't cover everything you want to go over, schedule another discovery meeting. You really want to get the information you want to need. Obviously, you don't want to do too many discoveries because then they can get bored with you and then kind of walk away. But the important thing is getting the information that you need. So
Yeah,
that we can,
don't rush that process. It's okay to sit there for a little bit, and getting the information you need is crucial for what's next here. So yeah, it's don't rush it. It's okay to come back again after you've sat in an hour, 2 hour long discovery, and you still haven't fleshed out
yeah,
all the needs, all the specifics of what this business and the processes are. It's okay to be like, hey, let's get another hour call on the books here to really make sure we understand your specific and unique needs as a business. Um, People will appreciate that. Now, granted, if you just lived in that forever, like you said, like then it's gonna be like, I don't know if they know
yeah,
what they're doing,
yeah.
but like it's okay to have a couple discovery calls. More That's more than acceptable to do that to really make sure you understand. Because yeah, it leads right into this next step.
Yeah, yeah, and information is always going to be evolving as you meet in these meetings. Things are going to be coming up, and new information is going to spark new questions that need to be answered. So it's always good to get information for all those things to have what you need. But yeah, that all is going to accumulate into you being able to craft a tailored demonstration. And so what that means is you take your solution, whatever it is, you apply their company logo to it. If they're terminology involved with it, or data that's being used, you make it adaptable to their industry, make it familiar terms that they know about. And in your discovery meetings, you're finding out the way they handle processes, so how they handle invoices, how they handle sales, and you're applying it to your solution. And the goal there is to make it comfortable for them, make it look like, hey, this product is great because we can just do what we do now in a better and more modern and more efficient system. And so, really you're trying to aim at solving every pain point from your discoveries that you learned. Focus on their needs, not yours. You don't want to highlight over features that you might think is cool or that are new and you want to highlight for everyone. These are really a sales interaction, and a demonstration should be one-on-one interaction with your customer. You shouldn't apply your, outbound, or that might be the wrong term, but apply your, whole new features, what you're trying to put out to everyone. You don't want to apply that here. You want to apply specific stuff to your customer. And that's what's going to gain their interest and what's going to win the most people on your customer side if you address their needs.
Absolutely. The biggest thing we see on the pre-sales side of stuff with solution engineers and salespeople is usually the person doing the demo is the person who's helped do the coding and the programming and has founded the software. And they're really excited about feature X, Y, and C because they were part of the coding and they figure out how that works. And they showed that to every single person who's interested in the software. But in reality, like half or even only a quarter only needs to know some of those things, and especially the weeds of how the coding works and how it integrates and the APIs behind it. Like that doesn't matter to 90% of the people looking at your software. They want to know how it's going to fix and how it's going to solve their pain point. And so that's why you do all those discoveries, is to know specifically what you should be showing them within that demo. So it is tailored to what they need. So yeah, Matt, it all ties in together. The discoveries tie right into the demo piece there. So no, you're 100% right.
And it's cool. I'm gonna be the one to let you know the new features and stuff. It's cool when you can add something that solves somebody's problems to your solution. It's really cool, and that's what makes products better. Is this idea that we're trying to build our products more and more, and every bit by bit, so that we can solve problems. But in this scenario, you really want to tie what they've communicated to you and the pains they've kind of revealed to you. You want to tie those to how your solution can fix it, not necessarily how your solution can make doing that really cool. So just a point there.
Yeah.
And as we said before, as you come up, even with demos, as you go through demos and you're in these hour-long meetings, 2-hour-long meetings, sometimes demos can be, a few days, depending on what your company does and how big they are. Obviously, more questions are going to come up, and they're going to be towards pain points or things that weren't addressed during the discoveries, which you're probably not going to grab everything anyways in those meetings, which is normal. The thing to focus on here is knowing which issues are small and can be addressed, and which issues are large and need to be moved to a different discovery or demo. And so that's how I kind of want you to separate these issues. Small issues, they can be addressed in 5 minutes and won't really disrupt your demonstration. You can just say, oh, we can address that here. Click, show them real quick, and then continue with your planned and tailored demonstration. You don't want anything that's going to take your demo, the one that you've planned that's tailored to them, to show in a specific way, kind of derail that, so that they lose or they get distracted or they lose focus on that. What you should do is, if it is a large issue that it takes more clicks or it takes more setup to demonstrate, you want to try avoiding those answers. And I don't mean avoiding it in the sense of writing them off. What I mean is addressing it and saying, hey, I'm not set up for that right now. I would love to show you that. This software or this product can address that. I would just need time to set it up in a certain way that shows it efficiently towards you. And that is perfectly acceptable as an answer. And it's it's the best way to kind of answer a question like that. And the reason for that is, again, we did all these discoveries to find out the information so that we could have a tailored demonstration of it, so they could see it in a certain way that they would know fully how it works and how it would address their issue. And it's always a good thing to then have another thing that comes up and say, hey, let's do a follow-up demonstration. I can show you specifically how our solution can solve that. And sometimes it's with a specific person. You say, hey, you're the finance guy. Why don't we meet separately? I can show you specifically how you're going to handle that, because sometimes a lot of people in the meeting aren't going to really care how that works, but this guy will. So that's another bit important thing there.
Absolutely. I think a good way of summarizing what you talked about was that the follow-up process there, like, cause there's going to be questions. Like, if you're going through a software, there will be questions. But you crafted this beautiful tailored demo, and it's this beautiful story arc that you're trying to tell and show. And there's going to be questions. And if it's a small, quick thing of like, oh, this, like, you could answer that in the moment, and it's going to take a few seconds, and it's not going to derail this whole story arc that you're trying to craft. But then there'll be other bigger questions. Maybe someone is actually interested in the APIs and the coding behind it. It's like, oh, that's a great question. You don't ignore, but you delay and be like, hey, I would love to talk to you about, I would love to get into that detail with you as soon as we finish this up. Or make sure it's like, hey, I want to follow this up, but at another time, let's schedule another time to go through that. And yeah, that way you're able to keep focus of everyone by following the story arc that you created that applies to everyone who's in the room. Instead of like, hey, here's the one thing the finance person, oh, here's the one thing that the estimators focus on. Like, instead of drilling down into the weeds for each of those things, even if you're showing a piece of your software, like ERP, the super broad software that has many different verticals in it, even if you're getting into the specifics of one vertical or another, doing so to the extent that it gets the point across to everyone and it's not getting in the weeds of all the little details there is super huge. So yeah, trying to keep that tailored demo, the direction you're going with it. Address the small things as they come up, as long as it's only a few seconds here and there. And anything bigger than 30 seconds it takes to answer, delay that to the end where you can answer some additional questions, or schedule another time for those, maybe with that individual person, or maybe it's something that more the team that you're demoing to needs to be a part of. But super big deal there. Absolutely. So we did our discoveries. We've done our demo. What's next?
What's next is we move on to our proposal. and you're familiar with that word, so it is what it is. Ideally, you've gone through your discovery process and your demo process so that you've learned what they need to address. You learn their pain points, and you've demoed it in a successful way. And any other pain point that may have come up, you've addressed it separately, and you've done that well as well. And they are at the point now where they say, all right, we like your solution. Let's move forward. The next one is to present a proposal or a statement of work based off that discovery and demo. And the goal here is you're leading the prospect through the process to ultimately close the deal. And that's really kind of the end of the sales process here. As a marketing person, you've kind of handed it off to the salespeople, but we're talking also to the solo person here who's doing it all. You've kind of taken this from your marketing. You've gone through the process. You've gained the leads. You've found the lead. You've talked to the lead, introduced yourself. You've done your discoveries, and you've done your demos. And you've got to this point, and your proposal process, really, this is going to be, they don't know the next step. You do, you're selling the product. So this is just the way you kind of handle it. You send them the information they need to know, send the proposal, they accept it, and then you make a deal. And so really the big thing is at this point, you should know them you should know them well enough to know what they want, the language they want to hear, how frequently you want to reach out to them if they don't answer. Your goal is to know them and to understand how to keep this deal going, and so that you can go through to closing. And so hopefully by now you have that information.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great process. I would love, before I say what I say, that's the go-to-market sales process there. What's in store for our Marketing Smarketing show going forward after this, Nate? What are we going to tackle here next?
Great question. So we're probably still going to sprinkle in a little bit here and there about episodes talking about marketing and strategies as we go along. But I think we're going to try and go towards getting guests on this podcast so that we can speak to real people in real situations. Some of these guests are going to be people that we've worked with as a company and who have helped build their go-to-market strategy, and really to hear some real world stories here so that we can, figure out if this process does work or not.
Yeah, no, I love that. Some stories of people who've gone through this go-to-market process with product marketing leaders, some people who are marketing experts in their field. I think it would be cool to tap shoulders with one of our awesome SCs and get them a part of this process. What does it look like to get an MQL, and how they deal with that? Because one of our sister companies, pre-sales leader, the solution engineer to the service, basically doing pre-sales support there. So it'd be cool to have someone even with much more experience than us in the solutions engineer side talk about it from their perspective, for sure. But yeah, I'm excited to get some friends and make some new friends on the show with guests coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So, Sal, do you have any call to actions points here at the end?
Yeah, I think a good thing to start doing is really looking into your discovery process. What are you doing currently for your discovery? Are you even doing a discovery process? So some good steps here to start thinking about, like, if you're not doing one, start thinking through the steps of what it takes. What questions should you be asking in your discovery process? If you already have one, review that process. Are you asking the right questions? Are you figuring out they're going through the BANT process, are figuring out their budget, their needs, the timeline they're looking at? Are you tying all that in there? So dig into your discovery process, create one. If you don't have one, let's refresh and review what we currently have. That way we can set our demos up for success.
Awesome. And with that, let's do our sign off, because that's all we have for today's episode. Marketing Smarketing is a product marketing leader production. All writing, editing, and engineering is done by either me or Sal, and there are no sponsors. And also Tim, he's going to be joining us. He's doing some production work. We plan on releasing episodes every other week, so be sure to look for the next episode on your favorite podcast platform. See you guys later.